disclaimer on the front. I think listening to all of the projects that were presenting this morning, the key thing that stood out for me, and we're going to repeat obviously a little bit about what Peter and Jill said, strategy, institutional strategy. The number of projects that are aligning with what it is the institution wants to do anyway is essential. Key things at the moment, for example, and identifying them with the broad national strategies, such as retention, things around the National Student Survey, some of the projects this morning on retention and assessment and feedback, and identifying those and getting those into the project when you present the project up to senior management. So being able to say, oh, and by the way, this project is really helping your retention strategy, or the data from this project can really help the retention strategy. So that was really, really important. The other things that stood out, I think, were the number of projects that were grounded in not just an individual department, but were grounded in other things that were going on in the sector. So the virtual patient work is transferable to other PBL courses, it is transferable to other medical curricula. The design presentation this morning, thinking about, well, actually there's not just me, it might just be me in this institution, but in other institutions there are other people that also want to do this, so helping other institutions to do that. So there's sort of two levels that I wanted to focus on, the strategy and aligning upwards, but also the practitioner and aligning outwards.
I think one of the things that I was very conscious of was when you kind of have a lot of know-how developed, I sometimes call it sort of tradecraft, how do you actually transfer that? And I think that was sort of really coming out for me from some of the projects. Do you write guidelines which are kind of very dull and boring in text? How can you capture it? Is it actually using videos and getting people to talk about it? Is it actually kind of videoing particular scenarios of how they're used? Because I think one of the big things you want to do, if you want to transfer this kind of know-how, you want to motivate people and get them to understand the essences. So I suppose my kind of point there is think of how you can use all the different medium technologies to actually transfer these things. Don't just rely on the kind of written word. Use things like video, screen captures, that kind of thing. And I think the other point that came out, particularly when I was listening to St George's, was the whole idea about potential collaborative approaches. Like if you produce some kind of product that needs maintaining, if it's equally applicable to other institutions or other areas around the country or even internationally, how about actually collaborating to maintain those kinds of products in a very collaborative way where you can even perhaps share the funding. So I think that those were kind of 2 points, and I suppose the last one is the key issues of how you get staff buy-in. And so we had a lot of several of our projects when they were talking about how they liaise with the deans. They actually went to deans committee meetings, they went to PVC groups to actually get buy-in at that level. And I think that's a very kind of important thing that, you know, it's one thing at VC level, but actually, you know, at the working level you want the deans and the PVCs to be bought in, so getting them on side if you want to transfer to other faculties is very important.
Peter made the point during the sessions about communities. I don't want to use the phrase community of practice, I think it's an overused phrase, but certainly in 2 of the cases that we heard, possibly 3 of the cases we heard this morning, there was an opportunity to put the materials online and give ownership to the community for editing. And a good example of that one is Peter was involved in a Critical Friend network, and actually all of that material is posted online and is able to be updated and maintained by other critical friends in the community as the projects carry on. And I think that there's an opportunity for some of the work that was presented to us this morning to be placed online and given over to the community to update and put more ideas in as well, as a way of maintaining and generating new ideas.